Post-Common Era costs. The beginning principle of truth is reality. The correspondence theory, in its simplest form, says that truth S corresponds / to reality DRP in philosophical physical terms as spiritual time D, mental space R, physical mass P. In short, the beginning principle is that truth births reality, which is to say that as it's true above, it's real below. This means that the method employed in knowledge is by analogy and dialogue between truth and reality. In our limited case of interest, that the Big Bang S of the universe corresponds / to the baby bang DRP of humanity, that there is a parallel between the Big Bang and our baby bang, just as much as there is one between the power of powers and our knowledge of principles. Executive summary. The claim is that from whence derive all principles is the universal principle of knowledge. This PaRaDiSe Kabbalogy is a residue of the baby bang of the revelation of the Torah, just as much as the cosmic microwave background CMV is that of the Big Bang. This would require getting rid of the invention of the sagists of the Oral Torah and its Messianic derivative, and in its place institute Genesis 1:1a Alef. That is, that the one whole S / is made / of, that the one whole S is made / of Triad parts-DRP. As corollary, we're the created creatures of the creator of creation. In more familiar terms, this defines our role as Israel, as one who struggles with the power of powers and with men and prevails. G 32:29. Baby bang out of Big Bang. You only clean up as far as you go deep, much like seeing with the naked eye as compared with mountain observers or space telescopes. With a flaky conceptual apparatus, at best you can orbit, if take off at all, much less peek into deep space, namely cosmic microwave background and PaRaDiSe. On the one hand, the CMV is the leftover radiation from the Big Bang when the beginning of the universe came out of nothing. Its age is determined by projecting backward from the expansion measurement of celestial bodies to the point origin. On the other hand, PaRaDiSe is the residue of thought as language of humanity. It is formed out of the first letter of Hebrew, Alef A, and the first word of the creation story, Bereshit, in beginning of, as Alef / Bereshit A / in beginning of. Lambda CDM Cosmology. If, according to the Lambda cold dark matter, Lambda CDM model of cosmology, there's a Big Bang of the universe, saving the world or saving humanity is a distinction which doesn't make a difference. Working backwards means starting for the residue which has survived the test of time. Ordinal first in time is cardinal one in significance, with the rest following suit. The Pentateuch of Moses is here to stay. It's a mystery why. It's not like the unicorn or the Texas horn jackrabbit. You just dismiss it and it will go away. Not so the Torah of Moses. The timeline of cascading events is as follows. There was Kabbalah of the Torah around the 14th century before the Common Era. This was followed by second-hand philosophy of Greece 4th to the 6th to the 4th century before the Common Era. Next, followed by third-hand science of the West with the Age of Enlightenment 18th century Common Era, and so on to today's fourth-hand modernity 11th century Common Era, obviously. The Messiah Savior is SuperText. Quote, it's a bird, it's a man, it's SuperText, unquote. Genesis 1:1a Alef, 1:1a / Alef is the oldest significant extant text. This SuperText houses the code of the whole, quote, one whole is and becomes triad parts. This universal principle of knowledge can be further encrypted as one whole is and is / becomes triad parts DRP. Its acronym is PaRaDiSe. It is sometimes spelled with a slash as PaRaDiSe /SE. That is Genesis 1:1a / Alef is Alef / Bereshit S / DRP Alef S / B D Resh R It P, or in English A / in beginning of A S/in D beginning R of P. The ripple of life. Let's say a few words about PaRaDiSe Kabbalogy. The symbols in PaRaDiSe as defined as secret sought S / discover derive D remit remes R plain peshat P. This can be variously exemplified as thought S is / becomes language DRP with subject D, verb R, object adjective P. The ripple of life is verily the baby bang at Genesis 1:1a / Alef as Alef / Bereshit, a / in beginning of. Missing the ripple, though not missing, the sages made up for it by conjecturing the Torah into the written Torah, holistically revealed at Sinai, and the Oral Torah, non-triadically handed down to the priesthood and later rabbinism. It was just a small step to go from invention, perhaps Egyptian backsliding, to greater invention with the Messiah, perhaps Greek front sliding. In neither case, it is open to disproof. It is blind faith, in stark opposition to engaging with the words of the Torah to master it. X-ism needs to be addressed, perhaps M-ism as well. The consequence of all this revision is that it turns Torah-ism into a religion, generating mono/dualism, and the wreck of today into fractured religion, philosophy, and science. PaRaDiSe and PaRDeS Kabbalahs. The following is to distinguish the Kabbalahs out there. PaRaDiSe is primeval Kabbalogy based solely on Moses Genesis 1:1a / Alef. PaRDeS is medieval Kabbalah based on everything else, including the prophets and writings in Talmud and Greek and Egyptian thinking. The problem with the latter is that it backslides to Egypt and stumbles onto Greece and from there onward to the West. That is, contamination from outside sources leaks in and breaks a hole. Succinctly, as in Revelation, Torah S is / corrupts, as inspiration prophets in Egypt D, enlightenment writings and Greece R, erudition, sagism, and West P. Missed but not missing point origin. Please note that missing the point origin is not the same as the point origin is missing. Allow me to explain. The point origin is the coordinate system from which we start counting time. It serves as background and explains the oversight. The comparison is between the old calendar of bondage of the Common Era and the new calendar of emancipation of the post-Common Era. The prime question that needs addressing is why the world is equally broken before as after the baby bang of revelation of the Torah to Moses at Mount Sinai. The original point origin was missed by the sages, and in its place they introduced dualism of the Oral Torah, followed by monism of the Messiah, or the other way around. In a nutshell, holism is uni/triadism and not mono/dualism. Post-Common Era 1. When do we start counting time for an individual? From the remote origin of life, from the couple meeting each other, or from birth? Same applies here. Do we start counting time from the creation story Anno Mundi 5784, or from the prevailing faith Anno Domini 1, Common Era, or from the first cry of sovereignty post-Common Era 1? That is the question on the table to decide. Startup costs. I don't fear cancellation by anyone blocking the sun with one finger, choosing to close their eyes or looking the other way. You can choose to live in denial, but that doesn't stop the light of the heavens from shining on earth. To really change any flowering, you have to change everything from the seed in the ground on up. To change everything, you have to start from the point origin of things. Contrariwise, things fall back into equilibrium and restitute the status quo. That is, if not reinitiating from the point origin, you are just playing the shell game and riding the Ferris wheel. The thing to do is to reboot from the cause at Genesis 1:1a / Alef as expounded above. Translation is interpretation. But at the end of the day, what does all this mean? How does it translate? How do we interpret the biggest picture point of view when it comes to us today? Bear in mind that the possibilities of translation are both correct translation as well as misinterpretation. And it's tricky telling them apart. In all this, context plays a major role in fixing meaning. Common Era is Common Err. By all measures, it's urgent to fight back the hazard Common Era historical marker. This can be accomplished by founding Sinaiism, and hence later Zionism, on PaRaDiSe as the watershed moment. The true division or separator is breaking the code, getting it right, and being on the straight path forward. In all this, PaRaDiSe Kabbalogy is not panacea, it solely cures stupidity. Please bear in mind that we shall have to cover the trail and get the job done. But at least now we know right from wrong, like knowing arithmetic to learn to count correctly. Mathematics doesn't lie, nor does it take sides. Nomenclature fighting back. Get up and fight back. Put an end to the Common Era. Start the post-Common Era. After the Common Era, both before the Common Era, and restart the clock both back and forward. Why use post in post-Common Era? Because it sounds like post in post-modernity instead of after as in after Common Era, namely before Common Era, and post-Common Era. Mosaic revelation and authoritarian Messianism. Mosaicism, yes. Messianism, no. The Torah of Moses, yes. The Oral Torah tradition of sagism, no. The claim of the Oral Torah gives authority to sagism, and they, now as Ravism, in turn safeguarded with Messianism beyond our reach in the ever future. The need to return to Sinaiism is patent, on the one hand by accepting the point origin, and on the other hand by rejecting the Oral Torah tradition of sagism and its Messianism derivative. Without the headstone of the Oral Torah, the religion of Messianism comes tumbling down due to its own dead weight. People is sovereign. There's only Torah revelation at Sinai to Moses for the people. No one has special authority outside of it other than that of the weight of arguments stemming from PaRaDiSe. Once regaining autonomy, independence from Messianism, the next step is backward in time to regain autonomy, independence from rabbinic authority arising from the Oral Torah conjecture. The sovereign is the people and no longer the king by divine right. Then the sword, the people, is the savior as well. Is no longer the divine Messiah. The recovery of PaRaDiSe as the universal principle of knowledge, which was missed by the sages but not missing, changes things altogether. Then it falls back on the shoulders of the people themselves to lift itself up by its bootstraps. After deep house cleaning, all that's left is the holistic Torah. That is, we're meant to struggle with trying to understand it. The only authentic instrument is uni/triadism of PaRaDiSe, as expressed and coded in the sign at Genesis 1:1/Alef. Struggling with the holistic and prevailing using PaRaDiSe. No more made-up savior or sagists authority over us. We're the people, sovereign, autonomous, server, and leader. The struggle as Israel is what makes us sovereign. The biggest POV. There's big, bigger, and there's the biggest. At the greatest point of view of things, we have the PaRaDiSe Model C as Creator S is/becomes Creation DRP with Civilization D, Constitution R, Culture P. Needless to say, conserving the same Creator S, we would have to reconfigure Creation DRP. At level Civilization D, we would have to get rid of Oral Torah/Messianism and reinstitute the Torah. At level Constitution R, we would replace the Enlightenment 3-power state, 1 vote per person, adult suffrage, with the 53I Triad state, consisting of 5 powers, 3 votes per person, and tutored infant suffrage. At level Culture P, we would replace encyclopedic learning in schools with the universal principle of knowledge of PaRaDiSe. Emancipation Proclamation Juneteenth. This calls for celebration. The past Common Era renames the start of humanity from the flawed Common Era with the baby bang of creation with memory as the post-Common Era. Thus, post-Common Era in place of Common Era and instead of past Common Era. PaRaDiSe Cornerstone and Wolf Headstone. PaRaDiSe Kabbalogy is similar to the wolf king in the American wilderness. Without the wolf, things irremediably break down. With the wolf, things integrate back into place. Without PaRaDiSe, things deteriorate into sagism and Messianism, or in modern terms, into chip-dumb artificial intelligence, AI. Perhaps with PaRaDiSe, things recover in their own measure as corollary creative creatures of the creator of creation. If you have a chance, watch the videos How Wolves Change Rivers. It's about reintroducing the wolves to Yellowstone Park after 70 years of their extermination and how this rehabilitates the ecosystem. The wolf is a headstone predator. Once back, all plant and animal life fall in place. During its absence, everything fell out of place. Same applies here to our subject in question, but instead of a headstone as from above, holding left and right weights in balance, it's the cornerstone, holding the whole edifice standing. The PaRaDiSe cornerstone refers to the reintroduction of Genesis 1:1a/Alef to put things in order, right, and straight. The point origin of knowledge. The baby bang of humanity is the equivalent to the big bang of cosmology. The baby bang is a PaRaDiSe Model C, Creator S is/becoming, Creation DRP with Civilization D, Constitution R, Culture P. Similarly, the Big Bang of cosmology can be expressed as Creator S, point/origin, Creation DRP with time D, space R, mass P. That the one whole is and becomes triad parts of time, space, mass, ness. Start meaningfully counting from when we got it right as time 0 and not from the customary of X-ism. The watershed point origin moment of humanity is it finally gets emancipated, all the while leaving witness of the trail covered getting there. In terms of PaRaDiSe, holism finds expression as uni/triadism instead of as mono/dualism. Documentary hypothesis and consistency. The following is included for the sake of completeness and consistency. The New Testament NT does not follow from the Old Testament OT. Rather, the NT is a creative revision of the OT. Hence, its bootstrap Testament BT, partly derived on reason and mostly on faith. Free T is fine, but not new T because it doesn't follow from the old T. The same the same revision as above applies to the Old T or Hebrew Bible. Let's call it Messianism Testament MT because it doesn't follow from the Torah. It's the bootstrap Oral Torah of sagism. It's like Karaite Judaism, which does not accept the Oral Torah, but it seemingly does accept Messianism. That is, there's the revealed Torah, the revealed Torah is revealed, and there's a bootstrap made up Oral Torah. The 5 books of Moses consist of the 4 books of Revelation at Mount Sinai and the 5th one of reflection in the wilderness. 4 Revelation S, 5th reflection / inspiration prophets D, enlightenment writings R, erudition Talmud P. Of the Tanakh, the first 4 are revealed to Moses as a Torah teaching. The 5th is Moses reviewing the teaching to the children of Israel. In the first 4 books, Yod He Vav He Eloheinu reveals to Moses the Torah, while the last one has Moses reviewing the Torah to teach it further down the line. From there onwards, they are made up by the sages with different degrees of exaltation and penetration. Revelation to Moses of the Torah teaching is different from that of the prophets in the books of the prophets and of the poets of the writings, whose job was to warn the high priest, the king, and the people of their shortcomings. Oral Torah and Messianism. The problem with substitution is that it is no longer Earth paradise solution, no task or mission. Rather, it's receding ever more. What the sages have to say has priority over the revelation to Moses by Yod He Vav He. If we don't get past the hurdle of Rav Messianism, we're stuck at archaic knowledge, walled off from contemporary advances in science and technology. The Torah in the PaRaDiSe world. Like in science, if given equations and conditions, then one can derive the solutions. We were given the Torah, but the initial condition at Genesis 1:1a/Alef was missed, not missing. In its place, the sages replaced further down the Torah with the oral Torah, thus sidelining the, quote, written Torah, and Moses with the coming of the, quote, Messiah, thus sidelining the thinker. These solutions are imaginary in the unknown future in the sense that they are not falsifiable. Rabbinic Messianism plays as Mosaic Yod He Vav He Eloheinu. The Star of David consists of 4 right triangles intersecting in pairs up and down. Keychain Moses. In Hebrew, the word Navi, spokesperson, traditionally translates as prophet. The meaning of Navi is perhaps best described in Deuteronomy 18:18, where the Creator Elohim says, and I quote, "And I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him," unquote. Thus, a Navi was thought of as the, quote, mouthpiece of the Creator Elohim. Moses is the one prophet, while the ordinal are keychain prophets. The shortest short story. Quote, "When he woke up, the dinosaur was still there. When he woke up, the dinosaur was still there." That changes which go back and forth smoothly just lends time for the status quo to reassert equilibrium. One interpretation of this short text is that sleeping humanity, once it wakes up, will find itself with the same monstrosities out there as in its slumber. It observes a rational world in which nothing has changed of the irrational. This brings to mind the rock song Hotel California, quote, "You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave." Perhaps distantly as well, it echoes a folk song, quote, "The night they drove Old Daisy down," with the same lyrics. Now back to our account. Truth Ines, moral narrative, is a fable which vividly illustrates a moral of a story. Simple theories are better with fewer free parameters. My short story is that, quote, "When she went to sleep, the Messiah was still there." Universal principle and applications. The Torah is holistic. I cannot understand it because it's beyond me. It's beyond wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and onto creativity. It takes out all the monotonous drilling and puts back the fun of discovery of the PaRaDiSe to specific applications. The Godlen Calf of happiness. The golden calf of apostasy. The calf symbolizes joy, prosperity, and wealth. We're just kidding ourselves to sleep. Happiness is futile. Only chatting with the Creator is fruitful. Missed, none missing Genesis 1:1a/Alef. The Torah is in heaven, but with its revelation to Moses at Sinai, there's a point origin on earth binding the Torah of the Creator with creation by way of humanity. The sages, after missing the point origin, conjecture that it must be missing, otherwise they wouldn't have missed it, since they were sages. They then conclude the Torah was written in oral Torahs. The written Torah is on stone tablets or else written down on scrolls, whereas the oral Torah is alive in the tradition in their care. The oral Torah of sagism then generated Ravism. They figured that there must be something missing since the world remained just as broken before as after revelation of the Torah to Moses at Sinai. This would be remedied by the coming of the Messiah, bringing the missing piece of the puzzle to make things whole and work perfectly. Ravism is the oral Torah tradition. Without oral Torah, there is no Ravism. There is no oral Torah in spite of tradition. Having missed uni/triadism, as in missed by the sages, not missing in the Torah revealed to Moses, it defaults to mono/dualism. It conjectures the one Torah into the written and oral Torahs. Messianism is a cherry on the cake. Reform Ravism is trying to have it both ways, endorses negation of the unicity of the Torah. It concedes to science that the Torah didn't happen, but that it's true. It separates truth from reality. It seems unaware of endorsing mono/dualism and rejecting uni/triadism of the point origin of revelation of the Torah to Moses. Better than worse. The world would be better off without the Torah, but better misunderstood than non-existent, but best would be getting it right. What does it take to turn the page? After second millennium, a post-Common Era? Simply, we must take PaRaDiSe on earth, the consequence for the one in heaven. This spells out as 1 S cardinal number / ordinal number, first D, second R, third P, or succinctly as the uni / triad principle of the universal principle of knowledge of PaRaDiSe Kabbalogy, period. The 53I Triad State Project. But to get things started, we're proposing opening up the discussion from the middle factor of Constitution R from the PaRaDiSe Model C of Creator S is / becomes Creation DRP with Civilization D, Constitution R, Culture P. Once there, we can go back to the baby bang of humanity, or else push forward with its applications to resolve the challenges facing our polarized habitat. The midterm third judicial power unfolding in turn as sub-triad of fourth power media and fifth power university. Politics is too important to be left at the hands of the power-hungry politicians, first power legislative and second power executive. This is where the powers of the fourth media and the fifth power university and reason over instinct come into play as the ages of information and knowledge respectively. That is, including the fourth power media reporters and fifth power university academics and students into the fray by naming the third power judicial judges. Recall in all this that the individual S / person DRP believes D, values R, interests P. This would unfold as 3 votes per person for democracy instead of 1 vote per person under duocracy. Lastly, humans have all rights from birth, including infant suffrage under parental tutelage. All this is covered in the video series 53I. About the author. Ricardo Turullols-Bonilla studied physics at UT Austin, mathematical physics at Imperial College London, graduate philosophy at UNAM Mexico City, MBA at Iberoamericana Mexico City, and Kabbalogy by studying the Torah on his own in Austin. This last one proves that there is no need for tutelage to the Torah, which is always open to the heart, zapatero a tus zapatos. His books are found at Amazon and his videos at YouTube, plus podcasts elsewhere. Amazon, YouTube, and podcasts. Title: Friends of Dialogue. Subtitle: The Quest of Keeping the Heart, a philosophy of practice, 2005. Title: Dialogue of Friends. Subtitle: Making Sense of the Human Spirit, a Practice of Philosophy, 2005. Title: Triads. Subtitle: The Pre-Socratic Origins of Dialogical Science, 2012. Title: PaRDeSism. Subtitle: Human Science 101, 2016. Title: The Principle of World Caring. Subtitle: Peace by Wholeness, 2019. Title: Saving Creation. Subtitle: The Baby Bang of PaRaDiSe Civilization, 2022. Title: The Sweet Spot. Subtitle: On the Obvious, All Revealing Yet Hiding in Plain View, 2023. The videos can be found on the YouTube site, and the book can be found at the Amazon site. Yours truly, and thank you very much, Ricardo.